This is exactly what the Dallas Cowboys needed, as Brian Schottenheimer provided us with multiple Cowboys injury updates ahead of their Week 15 matchup against the Minnesota Vikings. And all in all, it's some very good news. We're going to tell you all about it right here on Cowboys Digest. Welcome, everybody. I'm Jace Andrews. We do appreciate you hanging out with us and tuning in to today's show. I want to remind you to hit that subscribe button. You see, about 85% of you who watch these videos are not yet subscribed. And we do appreciate the support. Subscription is free. Plus, on top of it, our content is going to be out there every single day and right there for you, so you never miss the biggest Cowboys news, because we have it for you all right here on Cowboys Digest. Let's talk about what Brian Schottenheimer said today at his media press conference. All in all, very good news. Provided a lot of injury updates and a little bit of what we can see going forward into this week of practice that will begin once again on Wednesday. The Cowboys have kind of had an interesting schedule, obviously playing with the back-to-back Thursday night games. It's a 4-game stretch at this point. And the 4 games, you in all probably need to win all 4. That is the best way to even remotely think about the playoffs, because as we know, last year in the NFC and the AFC for that matter, the win total to get into the playoffs was 10 wins. As of right now, you're 6-1. Now that tiebreaker can actually kind of help you as you get that tie with the Green Bay Packers, but you're going to need some of your good guys out there on the field. Brian Schottenheimer provided us with 3 updates. We're going to tell you each one here on the show. Our first update from Schottenheimer was on quarterback Trevon Diggs. He said that he will be good to go at practice this week. Now, there has been a lot of mixed opinions on the return of Trevon Diggs. I want to believe that he will be a help to this team, and in a lot of ways, I do think that is what will happen. But at the end of the day, he has not played much this season. When he hasn't really done all that much. I mean, 1 TFL, 13 tackles in just 6 games. And if you look at the stat sheet, the last time he played was back against Carolina on October 12th. So you're talking 2 months nearly of no games. And so that's a huge thing to put into this decision and to what exactly the thought process is. Now, he did try to play last week, so the expectation from the Cowboys organization and franchise is that he was limited in 3 practices last week. He'll be a full participant most likely by the end of this week, if not already through all 3 practices, and will be playing against the Vikings on Sunday. Now, this comes to talk about his PFF grade, which is not exceptionally great, 58.7, ranking him about 69th out of 110 cornerbacks, but this to be said, it is a very good thing to have, especially with the veteran presence that he would possess. Especially when you think about the other options and kind of think about the way they're able to use Diggs with a guy like Javonte Williams Jr., who up until this most prior game against the Detroit Lions was fantastic. In his first 3 games, it was 5 receptions for 61 yards across 89 coverage snaps, and those coverages included guys like Rashee Rice and Devontae Smith. I mean, those couple games faced off against the Eagles, faced off against the Chiefs and that. Then he faced off against Jameson Williams and the really good receivers that the Detroit Lions have. It did not go so well for him. There was a couple of errant coverages, he missed tackles, and it just overall wasn't a good night for the rookie. But I say the rookie because we kind of forget that. He played so well in the first 3 contests that you almost don't realize he is a rookie, and that game looked like he was a rookie. I think all in all, we shouldn't be worried about him at all, but with the return of Diggs, I do think it kind of serves as a little bit of a weight off the shoulders of Revel Jr., who I really do think is going to be a very good thing for the Cowboys long term. But right now, I think after a game like that, you want to have some veteran presence. And 2 guys who are on pretty hefty deals, whether or not they stay here next year, that's up to your thoughts and kind of figuring out that. But Trevon Diggs and of course, Deron Bland were asked to be here. They were paid to be here. And now, for a lot of reasons, they're going to be asked to really help out with the training of Javonte Williams Jr. I think all that Diggs can bring is good things, especially when he was trying to get on the field last week. Our second update from Brian Schottenheimer was this, saying, quote, "They'll know more over the next 24 to 48 hours with offensive tackle Tyler Guyton and defensive end Jadeveon Clowney." Now, both these guys missed last week. Clowney was a game-time decision. He worked out in Ford Field before he was able to be officially ruled out for the game. He had been working with some trainers with a neck injury. That is the belief of why he was not in the game this past week. But at the same time, you really look at Tyler Guyton as a big option in this kind of transitioning over there, just because the offensive line, it hasn't been good. It really has been a tough look of things. And it kind of came to a culmination this past week when Dak Prescott got sacked 5 times for 50 yards. It's hard to win when you have that sort of, backing against you in a lot of ways. Guyton is a good guy, and while maybe his PFF grade is not the most shiny, bright thing at 58.1, ranking him 60th out of 81 tackles, he has the ability to put up games like this, where against one of the best defensive edge rushers in the entire NFL, he allowed 1 pressure, 0 sacks, 34 dropbacks, despite being one-on-one for 79.4% of his pass pro snaps against the Raiders. And the big stat that I was alluding to, versus Max Crosby, he allowed 0 pressures. I want a guy like that on my team. I want a guy like that on the field, and he's been out for the past couple weeks, and the offensive line has taken a hit. Now, all love to Nate Thomas. He has come in and served a good purpose in a multitude of different times. Guyton is the better player. We know that, we see that, and we would love to get him back out on the field, but he is going to be the bigger question mark than Diggs because he did not practice last week, and it's been a little bit of short weeks the past 2. He's going to get a longer time this time to rest, recuperate. Fingers crossed he is able to make it back, but again, in terms of Clowney and Diggs and of course Guyton, I do believe Guyton is the one that we kind of question mark the most. And so, with this all to be said, speaking of Clowney, I think he'll be back, and he is a very good piece for the Dallas Cowboys team as well. 4 sacks in this game in this year, which ranked him second on the Dallas Cowboys heading into the Lions game. Only got 1 sack, so no one jumped him, obviously, so he still remains second on the Dallas Cowboys in sacks and has been one of the better signings, at least mid-season-wise, to the Cowboys in recent history. And I do really, really want him back on the field just because of the pressure that he brings and how he can kind of complete the defensive line. Donovan Ezraku is fantastic out there on the edge, but in terms of edge rushers, James Houston has slowed off a little bit after having a really hot start. Clowney has been the one that's been really consistent throughout the year. I really would like to have him back out there. Our third and final update that was given to us by Brian Schottenheimer is this, quote, "Wide receiver CeeDee Lamb is progressing nicely," is what Schotty had to say on the wide receiver who suffered a concussion in the game against the Detroit Lions. With the fact that you probably need to go out there and win all 4 of your final games, CeeDee Lamb is a very key piece to that. 89 targets, 57 receptions for 867 yards and 3 touchdowns. He had 1 game where he got hurt in legit the first play against the Bears. And if you take out that game, he is averaging 96.7, nearly 100 yards per game. If you take out that 1-1, even if you want to include the game that he got injured in this past week, because he had 120 yards when he officially was ruled out with that concussion against the Detroit Lions. Having George Pickens is one thing, and he's fantastic. Don't get me wrong. You pair him with CeeDee Lamb, they both take themselves to another level. And having them both out there, especially with their chemistry and the chemistry between them and Dak Prescott, it makes this Cowboys team another level. And so with that to be said, I hope CeeDee is available. It is his 3rd concussion in his career, and it was a pretty brutal one, obviously, if you've seen the film. Didn't look so great, but progressing nicely is a good thought. You got to go through concussion protocol. You got to clear concussion protocol as for NFL standards to even be mentioned to be available this upcoming Sunday versus the Minnesota Vikings. So that is the updates we got for you here on Cowboys Digest. We appreciate you watching, tuning in, and of course, we'll keep you updated with everything else we hear from Schottenheimer and the latest news, rumors, and reports. We'll be right back, or actually, we'll see you next time here on Cowboys Digest. Peace out, everybody.